Hello, welcome to another tonal landscape oil painting demonstration. This is your painter in residence, M. Francis McCarthy, and the painting I'm bringing you today is called Tiny Master Riff. And it's 2 inches by 3.5. It's the smallest painting I've ever done. Yeah, I mean, but it looks really good. You've already hopefully maybe seen the image at the beginning of the video, and of course the thumbnail. So you got an idea where we're headed. And it took about an hour or something to do, honestly, past a certain point, it really doesn't matter how small something gets. It takes the amount of time to do that it takes to do. But obviously, smaller does take less time. Yeah. But still, I wouldn't say this took a lot less than, say, I have done this scene before as a 3.5 by 5. And it's really one of my favorites. And what's funny, okay, I'll tell you the story now. And at some point, you might see me flash the frame up. Um, I have a framer I work with here in town, and I have them cut some of their scrap molding into small frames for me. And yeah, which I buy pretty reasonably because I sell the small paintings pretty reasonably, and I don't have a lot of money in the budget for frames. So, but I went in there one day and they says, "Oh, here, we made you this one." And it wasn't one of my standard sizes because they didn't have enough molding, but it's a really nice big molding. And so I had to cut this board down to this size, and I selected this image that I had painted before as the scene. Ideally, I really wanted something that was a vertical, but I had a certain feel that had to go with the frame, sort of traditional. I am, as the title said, this is a tiny master riff. I don't know who the painter is. He's some German guy. I honestly don't know his name, and it hardly matters because I'm taking massive liberties. The sky is not his sky. And basically, what I'm doing is borrowing the composition and the motif from this unknown past artist. But oh, there's a frame. Hey, you haven't seen the paint on the painting yet, but yeah, so that's the whole genesis of it. And if you haven't done this yourself, it's a great idea. I've sold it this kind of thing lots of times where I have a really fancy frame and then you can put a small painting in it, and then I actually don't charge a lot more for the painting, but I get more for the painting because the whole overall package looks a lot more posh. So it's a cool little exercise, and I know it'll when it goes into whatever gallery or place it's going to go, I know it'll be going quickly. And I could do more of this kind of thing. Maybe, I don't know. What I do a lot of is these little circle tree paintings that, phew, the least popular thing I've ever done on YouTube. Not that I mind that much, but I just put 8 of those into a gallery. You've seen one of them here, and the views were so abysmal. I thought, well, nah, I just won't bother you guys with it. Don't know why you don't like that kind of scene, but yeah, you don't. So whatever. Okay, now we working on a bit of MDF, and it's tinted to kind of more of a muted burnt sienna, not a full out burnt sienna, but a fairly muted burnt sienna. We did the underpainting with some burnt umber, but it was juiced up with a bit of that rose madder I've been using. The rose madder is in the alizarin crimson place in my palette. It's a very similar color, a little less purplish, and works very well. And so I kind of juiced up that burnt umber. And I like to do that when I'm working on a redder ground. I like to really play off the reds. And I did do a premix session on this. And that was probably would add another 15, 20, maybe 15 to the overall time the painting took. Now, that's in the members area, as is the reference image that I use. Comes up on screen, and members have the ability to take a screenshot of that if they like. Yeah, I don't provide members with the reference images separate. It's not really that kind of channel. It's more, I just kind of want you to see what I'm up to and what I'm doing. And then I really think people should be doing their own thing. But I do think it's very, very illustrative to see In this case, the reference image is extremely yellow, and I didn't paint it that way because I didn't want to. I didn't even perceive it, to be honest. And today when I set up the video here, I said, wow, that's super yellow. That's okay. And maybe that happened too, because I do like to make my blue in the sky. You can only put so much yellow into your blues. They get kind of weird. They start looking aqua. Maybe you've seen old master paintings like that where the sky is a very aqua-y color. And no doubt it's because it's been glazed or it has varnish on it that is yellowed. So this is one reason I don't really like to varnish my work. On one hand, varnish can give you you're painting a protective layer, which will help it, deal with the slings and arrows that time will throw at it. But on the other hand, also that's easy to remove for a restore in the future. What's this? A book? Yeah, got a couple orders for the book this week. Gonna be sending one out tomorrow. And I appreciate your support. Now that's $60. International shipping is included, and I will get it to you anywhere you are on the planet. No problem. And you know what's great about the book is that you have, like, I talk about everything in the book, but on various videos I might talk about one topic or another. One of the things that got me to do the book was, people saying, "Well, you never talk about this, you never talk about that," and I go, "Oh yeah, I do all the time." But without the videos being extensively cataloged and with tags and things as far as what particular topics I discussed, it'd be very difficult. You'd have to just sit there and watch I don't even know how many videos we have. I think it's probably close to 2,000. I will be looking soon though. It was well over 1,500 last time I looked. Anyway, so hey, tip. You paint your sky, you got some water, paint that too, Now, just a bit of an insight for you is colors when they're reflected in the water are darker. So you don't want to make that the same exact color. You can get away with that on some of the tones, but overall it should have a darker feel. Yeah. So that's like one of those phenomenon that you learn as you're painting. It's very similar to the, and probably optically similar for some reason. I don't know, for a different reason, but the same result. When you have holes, tree holes, or sky holes in your trees, the tones inside the holes are always going to need to be painted darker than the sky itself. That's just the way it goes. And you can really observe the phenomenon if you make that little circle with your hand and move it around. You see things seem a little darker, but yeah. So, as per usual, I tend to use the same basic approach no matter what I'm going to do. And that's, tone the board, have the reference. Actually, I don't think this reference was proportionally exactly the same size, but that doesn't always matter for me, especially here. I know it's a loose riff. It's a little painting. And, the tiniest one I've ever done, 2 inches by 3.5, and came out really good. Really happy with it. There are things that, and I was talking to an artist friend of mine that came in the studio as I was doing this. And now I do advise you, if you're a painter starting out, to do small paintings. Not this small, though. About the smallest I would do if I was starting out, or that I recommend for my students, is a 5 by 7. I think 6 by 8s are really great as well. Maybe even better in that you got enough room with a 6 by 8 to kind of, you got more elbow room. You can express yourself, So, but you can have with 5 by 7 as well. But once you start getting 4 by 6, then you're into a different sort of modality where you need to know how to work very, very small. And I do. And so one of the things that sparked this bit of conversation just now is that, well, you see we had the darks in and then we had the greens. Well, I only mixed one green because I know I was going to paint more than one green, but I also know that it's so small, I'm not going to have a lot of room for a lot of other, there's no reason to pre-mix a bunch of variations. So I did a few variations on the fly. Everything is simplified. Now, I like to make my strokes loose and expressive regardless of what size I'm working. So if I was painting the scene very large, I would be using, like the brush I'm using there is a 0. And I use the Silver Grand Prix, which is a little nicer brush. That was a 0 as well. I think on the, I'd use a 0 but in the sky, but that was a DOS bristle filbert, and it had been well worn in, and those are quite loose. It would not have been good if it was new, but because it was worn in, it provided just what I needed for that. So all the brushes were my smallest Hogs bristle brushes. You can't really go much smaller than a 0, which is about a little around an eighth of an inch, a little under. I mean, if you, I imagine I'm not a brush maker, but I imagine if you try to go smaller than that, things just get weird. Um, Now people do paint with much smaller brushes on the paint. They could do painting like this with much smaller brushes, like little sable brushes, and you could detail it to the max if you wanted. But that's not what I'm after. I'm after a loose, Yet I don't. I want it to look finished. So when I say loose, I don't mean ragged. I don't mean haphazard. I mean not overworked. And there's a big difference there, a big distinction that I'd make. I want to do everything to every painting that I paint that can be done to it for it to look good. And because I've done so many paintings, I realized quite a while back that when you go past a certain threshold with your painting, you end up destroying things that you're not making things better. In other words, it's not like there are things you can do, many things, where more time put in will equal higher quality, better result. Landscape painting, that's not the case. What'll happen is you'll lose the expressiveness of your strokes because you're going over everything again and again. And I have a lot, not I have a lot of paintings that are like that, and they are beautiful paintings. Don't get me wrong, they're effective. They don't have the edge that my more contemporary contemporary work has. They're overworked, but you get one thing you can arrive at. It's like some musicians, like I'm thinking, Tears for Fears, when they "Sowing the Seeds of Love" song. Maybe you know it, but it was their big follow-up to their huge hits, right? And that song has so many layers in it. I mean, I don't know how many tracks there were in the recording, but no doubt they put layers and layers and layers and tons, and the overall effect is amazing. It's great. Is the song their most popular song? No, it isn't, right? Even though it's probably their most worked on song. Yeah. So just keep that kind of thing in mind. So if I go over painting again, like I'm talking about some of my earlier things when I first came out to New Zealand and was trying to scale up, I mean, I would put that painting on the easel 3 and 4 times. I have one of those hanging in my washroom, and it's a lovely painting. It has a very gauzy, atmospheric effect, but no discernible brush strokes. They're just all been turned into this kind of haze. That's a legitimate style. That's not what I want, though. What I want is what I do and what I'm sharing with you. And I'm so pleased with the way this painting came out, and I'm so happy to share it with you today. And hopefully you're getting something from watching me paint so extraordinarily small. Like I said, I painted the scene, I guess it was about a year ago, maybe 2. And funny enough, I mean, I've had it in my folder. I want to repaint it. I wanted to repaint it bigger because I really liked the way that the 3.5 by 5 came out. I didn't really intend to go, that's almost half the size, right, that I painted it before. It's very tiny. Anyway, so if you see the scene yet again, you'll know what's up. Yeah. Until I do come back with another video, this has been our Sunday video, and I really appreciate those of you that come around and listen to me burble on, and I'll just keep sharing as long as I am able to. Yeah, I appreciate you, and hopefully you appreciate me, and Until I come back with another video for your edification, hopefully for your edification and enjoyment, do me a favor, do me a solid, take good care of yourself, your family, all your loved ones. Stay out of trouble, and God bless you and your family. Fight the power.